Hi everybody, this is your boy Darkblade, X of Dark Enforcers Gaming Network, aka Black Hawk, Division Leader for DCUO. Welcome to the new series I'm making on here called Fallout 4 Defense Structures. I actually made these videos a little bit over a year ago, I just never uploaded them now. I've been, well, pretty lazy. Yeah, I needed space on my console, finally got my space, so now I'm making videos again. Here it is. Okay, so for those of you who didn't see my last video, my designs are unique and OP in many different ways, and I think people will really appreciate them. When it comes to making settlements, I'm not like most people. The first thing I do is I scrap the unneeded and worry about defense. I don't worry about food, water, people, housing, utilities, benefits, etc. None of that, just defense. That's where I differ from other people. My place could get attacked at any time, and while I could probably survive anything during at my settlements, I can't say the same for my settlers. And that's not even taking into account situations such as warping into your place or walking towards it. You know, like when your place is attacked and you finally go towards your place, you warp there, and because you warped in, they also warp in with you. Or when you're walking towards your settlement, as soon as you get close enough, they just like pow straight into your place. Yeah. It all these type of different things go into trying to defend your place, and unfortunately, while you can probably take whatever they dish out depending on the way they deliver it, your settlers and or maybe even yourself will probably die. When it comes to my defense structures, I do them in two stages, stage 1 and stage 2. Every single settlement gets both stages. There's not a single settlement that only has one stage. That would be completely useless. Stage 1 is always the same no matter where I go. A wall around my settlement. Why? Because it's a wall, for one thing. Because of a wall, I can place my instances wherever I want to, and I can pretty much corral them into Stage 2, which is what this video is going to do. A little bit. When it comes to Stage 1, there is no perfect way of doing it. Any wall works. Wood, metal, concrete, any one of those works. However, I do have to admit, concrete is a lot more malleable than the others. Just build a wall around your settlements, maybe leave a gap or a gate or a door for entrances, and you're good to go. Alright, let's move on to Stage 2. Now, it was a toss-up between Eye in the Sky and Brother Eye. We're going to go with Brother Eye, mostly because of what is actually pretty much, I want to say, north of my base, or northeast of my base. Okay, so I got my provisioner right here. He is going to, okay, good, probably stop finally. I got my provisioner right here. She is going that way, thank God. Loosely, she either goes down this way along that little dam right there, or she goes right over here. Loosely, when that happens, you run into this thing that's down here, which is great for this video because we're going to use it to test it out. Do you see that movement right there? You don't? Okay, well, here we go. Legendary Deathclaw. Gotta love it. Loosely, there's a random encounter, and there's two of them. I have yet to see another one, so I guess that's a good thing. But anyway, it's down there. You see it moving. Okay, so we're not going to bother it for now. We are going to bother it later. We are going to test the structure out. You can see it live, how it works. Oh yes. Oh yes. You already know, when we're doing Stage 2, I like to have my Stage 2 right in front of the entranceway for Stage 1. For instance, wherever entranceway I'm going with, or if I have it somewhat like, if I have two entrances, I like to make my defense structure for Stage 2 actually be able to see straight into entrances for like one side of my settlement and then for the other side. A better way of me saying that is, I want all viewpoints to be completely 100% viewable as far as all the entrances to my settlement. For instance, I'm going to be building the defense structure Stage 2 right above this barn, so pretty much right above this light, since that seems to be the exact center of the barn. And as you can see, it has an obstructed view of the entranceway. For instance, if I were to build the structure right where I'm standing, someone hugs that wall from the inside of that entranceway, you wouldn't be able to see that person. Even from a tall tower, you wouldn't be able to see them if they hugged the wall completely. Like, if they were like right here chilling, you're not going to really see them. Now, if they were over here on this wall, you might, but you won't see them really on this wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a gauntlet, kind of like what I have right here, how I got these right up here chilling. Pretty much, if you want into my way, okay, come on in, but there's only one way in. You have to go through this path. If you make it through, then that's pretty much God's will. He wanted you to survive. So, this thing has an unobstructed view of my entranceway, and no matter how many entrances I have, I want to have an unobstructed view. That way I can pretty much just barrel straight down the entranceway towards anything I need to shoot. In case you guys are wondering what it actually looks like when this is all said and done, I'm going to show you guys a little preview of the finished project. So here it is. Brother Eye. Yep, just like that, pretty much. That's the idea, the envisionment I have for Brother Eye. I'm going to tell you how we get there. For Brother Eye, we're going to have a, pretty much when you think of Brother Eye, you think of DC's Batman. You think of satellite in the air just striking down death. At least that's what I think of. And I know a lot of people aren't cool, happy, or even like just having things just floating in the air for no reason. I mean, there's a reason for it, but people don't like this having floating stuff, period. Alright, I have a workaround for that, so stick with the video. There's a workaround for that, and I promise you it will look legit. There's a workaround for it. But keep in mind that by doing the workaround, you also take away some of the visibility. What I mean is, if first chance something happens to be under it, then it can't shoot under it. So, think of it that way. Alright, so we're going to begin. Alright, so there's a couple things you guys will need. It's completely up to you. You don't have to follow this video to a T. This is completely up to you what you want to use for your turrets. I will suggest this, however. If you have anything at your base that you actually want to keep alive, aka your settlers or farm animals, anything like that, there are some turrets you want to avoid using. I think everybody knows already that when you go from left to right, aka this being the most left, and the right being the most right over here, as you go from left to right, you go from weakest defense to strongest defense. Not just in ratings, but in damage output. So this will always be the weakest damage output right here. And this one over here will always be the strongest damage output. But as far as your base goes, if you have anything that you want to actually protect, you want to avoid using the missile turret. Why is that? That is because the missile turret gives no fucks. Okay, see, a missile turret will attack anything. It doesn't care if you run towards an enemy to attack it too, or if your settlers run towards your enemy to attack it too. You see, your settlers are two types of people. Ones that just aren't aware of what's going on, ones that cower and run away, or ones that are brave enough to go out there and defend their land. Your rocket, or my bad, your missile turret does not care if your settler runs over there to do anything. The turret will see an enemy and shoot a missile, and if your settler gets blown up in the aftermath, or as a result, hey, that's just collateral damage. And we're all about settler-friendly defense towers, so we're going to avoid the missile turrets. However, if you don't have any settlers at your base or anything that you actually care about keeping alive, then this might be something that you actually want to look into. It might be an actual good thing. Alright, so we're going to stick with just the machine guns right here. And also the lasers, one right here and one right here. Alright, so first and foremost, when it comes to turrets, build whatever you can. For instance, this one doesn't require any ranks in your special abilities or your special tree at all. This one requires gun nut, so yeah. Whichever one you can build is great. However, I think we all realize that regular machine gun is not better than the heavy machine gun. Right, now this is a laser turret. I love the laser turret. However, I don't use this because, like I said, the heavy is all I do, especially for this build. This is supposed to be Brother Eye, so I want to see red lasers shooting down towards the ground like a satellite did to orbital strike. That's what we're going for. So we're building a whole bunch of these turrets right here. However, I will talk about the components real quick. Alright, so just talking about the heavy versions, we have heavy machine gun. This is steel. This is circuitry, this is gear, this is oil. So we're looking at about 10 steel, 2 circuitry, 2 gears, 4 oil. Now, we're not just going to just build one of these turrets, we're going to build an army of them. Well, a small army. We're going to build 12 of these. So, we're going to actually need, instead of those numbers, we're going to need 120 steel. We're going to need 24 circuitry, 24 gear, and 48 oil. Now, that's if we're going with this. Now, let me show you something that you guys might not know. Of course, if you guys watching my older Fallout 4 videos, you guys might know this too. Or you may have just figured this out on your own. Let me go in here so you guys can actually see this real quick. Alright, I think you guys can see it better now. If you look at the side of this turret, you'll notice that there's initials on it. Not initials, there's our letters and wording on it. You know what? I don't think you can see it because of my light. Let's take that off. Okay. Let's go back in. Alright, there we go. If you look at it now, you notice that it says MK1. See if I can get a better angle. There we go. MK1. That stands for Mark 1. When it comes to machine gun turrets, and only machine gun turrets, whether regular or heavy, the higher the mark level, the more damage it does. Different marks do different things. There are some marks that shoot fire bullets. Yeah, and there's some which just are like, I want to say like armor penetrating bullets. It really depends on what type of turret you're getting. So, Mark 1 is the weakest type of turret you can get for a machine gun, and Mark 7 is the highest you can get for a machine gun. Now, to go from Mark 1 to Mark 7 depends on a couple things. It depends on what settlement you're at, and also where you're standing in your settlement when you try to do it. Pretty much, you just want to go back and forth just like this until it changes numbers. But it also depends on where you're standing at in said settlement, and also what settlement you're at. There was a whole video on this that I did earlier. You guys can just watch that. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I will just say that just like with random encounters, the closer you are to the vault, the lower the number is going to get, and the further south you are, the higher you'll get on your turns. That seems to be the basis of it, but if you guys want a more in-depth report, I have a video you guys can watch on my channel. Just search for it, turrets. Alright. Anyway, now that we got that out the way, there are pros and cons to each type of turrets right now. Pros and cons to this, well, pro is, it is completely self-efficient. You can just place it down, and it starts work. Just place it, and you're good to go. It is the only turret that does that. So whether you're looking for the regular machine gun or the heavy, it is self-powered. It doesn't require power at all. As you probably noticed, there's oil in the construction of this. That is the power source right there. So yeah, that is one of the pros to it. Now, one of the cons. This is one of the first turrets you can get, which also means it's one of the weakest. Now, depending on the type of firepower you have, ballistics is not that high on the damage scale. So yeah, this is also going to be one of the weakest defenses you can use. So you're going to probably want to upgrade to something else, aka laser. Now, this is the one I like to use. Well, the type of turret I like to use, not just the regular laser. We like the heavy laser. Alright, so we're using crystal, aluminum, circuitry, screws, fiber optics, gear, nuclear materials, and steel. However, that's really about 4 crystal, 7 aluminum, 4 circuitry, 4 screws, 4 fiber optic, 3 gear, 4 nuclear materials, and 3 steel. However, once again, we're not just going to buy one of these, we're going to buy 12 of them. So we're looking at 48 crystal, we're looking at 84 aluminum, 48 circuitry, 48 screws, 48 fiber optics, 36 gear, 48 nuclear materials, and 36 steel. Now, pros and cons of this are as follows. It requires a power source. you're going to need enough power to power up this and any other types of laser turrets you build, whether it's the heavy or the regular. As far as power goes, it does not change. See? Oh, let's go over here. My bad. This requires still 2 power, and this also requires 2 power. It does not change. As far as power source go, this one produces 100 power for me. This is part of the, I believe, Workshop Contraptions DLC. Not Contraptions. Workshop, Wastelands Workshop. My bad. Wastelands Workshop. Which is why I'm using it. Sometimes your turrets won't fire because you don't see them. Not as far as you don't see them, but for instance, let's say this. I place this turret here, it's powered up. There's an enemy in front of it. I'm like over here. Nothing goes off because I can't see my turret. When I walk over here, now it starts shooting, now it starts killing shit. That's one of the only bugs in the game that they need to really fix and to take care of. That's ridiculous to me. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it does. Now, really good pro is this thing has such a long distance on it. I mean, long. I mean, you can put this at one side of your settlement and it will shoot way past your settlement. This thing will shoot several football fields past your settlement. The range is insane. God, I wish I would have saved that video. It was... Okay, you guys know at, Starlight Drive-In? Right, I have one set up right in the center of that place. You know that one hill walking away from it? You have to go up the hill, that little ramp, and it goes all the way up the hill. Way up there, the things just start shooting and killing everything that's attacking me up there. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I'm really, really far from my settlement. And I was like, what the hell? But I look over there, and that stuff's coming from my settlement. I was like, what the fuck? This thing has a really, really long range. They have really long range. Now, I believe the machine gun's the same deal. Because machine guns have... I got my machine gun set up right at the entrance of Sanctuary. And they could shoot way past the statue right there. Oh, past the bridge. They shoot way past that. But you can actually see these lasers do it. So... I believe they have the same range, but I can co-sign for these lasers. They shoot hella far. Alright. So that's all I want to talk about, guys. Once again, you don't have to follow this to a T. It's up to you what you choose for your turrets. Alright, so we're going to do it right on top of this barn. So what we're going to do over here is we're going to build a ladder up top. I'm going to put it on the end because I don't actually want to be able to, I don't want to interfere with what I'm building in the center of the barn, so I'm not going to put a ladder on the side of it. Now keep in mind, guys, you're going to need a lot of wood for this structure. We're making a structure up high in the air. I'm going to show you guys ways around certain things, but I'm also going to show you guys what you can do. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. This is going to be the Brother Eye satellite, as I said earlier in the video. Not the satellite, but just Brother Eye. I have a satellite version, but I'll be showing you guys a lot later, but yeah. Anyway, if you guys are not cool, aka are not okay with having floating in the air, this structure is probably not for you. I do have another structure video coming up that is perfect for you, however. Perfect for you. But this one really isn't for you. However, I will show you guys a little workaround. I'm not gonna do it because this isn't the video for that. But I will tell you a workaround for that. So if you want to keep watching this video, I would pretty much gladly appreciate it. Okay, so first we need to find out the center of the barn, which is around this area. But another good way of telling it is this white line right here. There seems to be a line right in the center of the barn, so I'm going to assume that is the dead center. That being said, we're going to place this right over the dead center area of it. I'm going to try to get it as perfect as possible. Now I want to make sure I don't fall off this thing. I want to have to keep walking back up here. That would suck. Alright, I seem to have grabbed the walled version. I meant to use this one, the no walls, this one, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. As long as the top part's flat, which is what I need, we're good. Alright, so I'm going to try to center this as much as possible. It does not have to be centered whatsoever, that's just something that I personally want. So keep that in mind. Let me see it from this side. Alright, I think that might actually be it. Now, let's look down from the bottom just to make sure. So we're going to jump off it. And I already know what you guys are saying. That doesn't really look like it's supposed to be up there. It looks like it's tilting on the barn. How is that going to look good? Well, this is going to be a floating thing, so the structure is not going to be there when we're all done with everything, so don't even worry about it. However, as I said, there is a workaround for this, so let me show you the workaround. For this to make sense, you're going to have to put supports up here so that it actually looks like it's built here, like it's supposed to be here. So one of the ways of doing that is actually going back over to the wood structures, going to stairs, and adding the half stairs. You put those there, and you would also come around and put it on this side too as well. Now as you see, it looks like something was put there just to hold it up. Now you know it's stairs, but it also looks like just supports, so that it stays up there, like it's supposed to be up there. You know? So it looks good. And as far as this structure goes, if you want, you can start using these type of walls on it. It doesn't have to be the wooden ones like you see right there. You can start doing things like this if you want it. Alright. However, we're not going to do that because we are not looking to keep the structure up there the whole time. But for those of you who want to have a huge structure because you don't want to have floating items, that is your workaround. Keep the structure, add walls to it, and you're good to go. So let me show you what the whole thing would look like first, but keep that in mind. But that's pretty much your workaround. Alright, now we're going to try something a little different just for the heck of it. Actually, you know what? I was going to replace this, but... Well, can I? I think I can. So we're going to see if we can. Yeah, I thought so. Alright. Cool. So I got the original up here, and it snapped because of these ladders that are still here. So we're good to go. Okay, cool. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to build upwards as high as we can go. Now, with most settlements, there is a cap on how high you can go. I say most settlements because I'm talking about the regular plain vanilla settlements in the game, not the ones that are added mods that are new locations. When it comes to the plain vanilla settlements, that whether they're part of DLC or part of the regular game, they have a height limit. Each settlement is different. So that being said, Turbine Bluff, to my knowledge, is the shortest height of all the settlements, and Abernathy Farms is the tallest height of all the settlements. Now, I'm not sure about Turbine Bluff. Not Turbine Bluff, Tin Pine Bluff, my bad. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. I think that's how you say it. It's been a minute since I've looked at the actual name of the place. Tin Pines Bluff. Yeah, my bad. I don't know why I kept saying Turn Pines. My bad. Anyway, To my knowledge, this is the shortest height for all settlements, to my knowledge. I'm not really sure about that. However, the one thing I am sure about is Abenaki Farms. That is absolutely the highest settlement you can go in the plain vanilla game, as far as even DLC is concerned, to my knowledge. Plain game, absolutely that is the highest settlement. However, I do have a settlement that is from mods that is super high. There is no height cap, so you can pretty much build in the clouds. But let's not talk about that. What we need to talk about is exactly how are we going to build this up perfectly. Alright, so, well, it's pretty much what you think. We could just, you know, stack this stuff on top of each other. You know, pretty much like this. Get it centered. Then take all day trying to make sure you stack this stuff individually perfectly. Because I know a few people out there are a little bit COD when it comes to making sure that everything's stacked perfectly. And as you can see, it's not stacked perfectly. It's off a little bit. Not enough to matter for some, but it's still off. If you can't tell, it's still off. So that's a little bit of a way of doing it. I could just keep stacking upwards and upwards. But let's not do that. There is a better way to ensure that this is perfectly even, and it's even faster than what you just saw me doing. So we're going to do it the fast way. So first we're going to store this roof, because we're going to use that for later. Now we're going to go over to stairs, because that's how we're going to snap it into place. We're going to be using these type of stairs right here, the one that has the 2 floors attached to it. Or 2 little stepping mini pads, whatever you want to call them. We're going to use these to snap onto itself. Alright, so when using these stairs, you want to make sure that you have your stairs at a certain angle. For instance, as you can see, this one starts at the bottom, then turns in on itself. We don't want it that way. We want it more like this. You could have yours going this way, or you could have yours doing the exact opposite. Like that. Either way is good. You do not want this, however. You do not want this at all. So just for the heck of it, we're going to go this way. It doesn't really matter which way we go, as far as going out to the left or to the right. As long as it starts at the bottom and then points away from the structure, we're good. But it can't point like straight ahead. It always has to go to your left or right. Alright, so we're going to do it like this. And next, we're going to grab one of these. Now what we're going to do is we're going to snap it to this placement. Now for those of you who don't know, when you're messing with these type of structures, let me walk over here to make it easier for you guys to see. Doing these type of structures, if you hold the X button, you can make the structure go away from you and then come up to you. So pretty much back and forth. Now, while also holding the X button, if you hit and hold L1 while holding X, you can make the structure go up or down, for those of you who don't know how to do that. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to snap it in place to this stairs. So we want it to be right in front of us. Alright, so it's snapped in front of the stairs, but we want it to snap to the back part of the platform, not the front part. So we're going to hold X and move it forward towards us. There we go. Perfect. Now we're going to go upstairs and step onto the platform that we're at. As you can see, it's right at the edge of the platform, so when this next one snaps in place, it'll be perfectly on there. So now we're just going to grab this platform and move it towards us till it snaps. Yeah, my lady looked. There we go. Yeah, I need to look down a little bit more. And it snapped. Alright, and we'll come back down here so you guys can see it. There we go. Perfectly on there. And pretty much we'll just keep doing that up and up. Now here's an even faster way of doing it. Once you actually make the first platform, instead of making more stairs, all you have to do is just click on the stair piece you have and bring it up to you. There we go. And now this one, you just move that straight up. There you go. Now you're good to go. This is a way for you to save resources so you don't have to keep making platforms. I mean, you're gonna have to make platforms, but at least you don't have to make that many platforms. Alright, so we're just going to make sure this snaps to us. There we go. And we're good. Click back on the ladder again, move that up. Move this up. Then just rinse and repeat until you're as high as you can possibly go. I'll do it one more time, just so you guys can see it. Okay, so we move the ladder up. We bring this up now. We go upstairs. And now we just drag this forward until it snaps. There we go. And rinse and repeat. Alright, grab the ladder, then bring it up. Alright guys, so we're going to fast forward this part because, well, who needs to see me keep doing this forever? However, I will say one thing. With the whole snapping and moving things up, if for any chance, and of course it's going to do this because it has something to snap to, but I'm just going to show you for instance. Let's say I'm moving this thing up and all of a sudden it turns red like this. There's something up there for it to snap to, so of course it's going to be red. But if there is something for it to snap onto, but instead of snapping to it, it turns red, that means that you hit the height of your settlement. And unfortunately, you're going to have to just be pretty much content with the current height you're at. Alright, so we're going to fast forward this, and I'll meet you guys at the top. Alright, here we guys are. Now, as you can see, it snapped up, but it snapped to red. That means we are at our height limit. Here, let me show you. We're going to go upstairs. And before I even make it up the full stairs, outside building area. Workshop will close in 5 seconds. Leaving workshop. I'm still on the stairs. I'm not even at the top yet. As you can see, my feet are even below this level. So even when I'm on here and I try to go into workshop, as you can see, it is not working. I am hitting the button, and all it's doing is taking me in and out of first person. Yeah, if I can't work up here, then there's no point to building up here, because it's going to take me out of workshop mode when I'm up here and building. And I always need to remain in workshop mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to just have to work below here. So we're going to actually get rid of this level. No point of having a roof above us if we can't build up there. Also, the poles will block us from building stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove stuff. So we're going to scrap this because we no longer need to have these floor and roofs at all. So we're going to scrap this one that we use just to snaps up to us. Alright. Next we're going to get rid of the stairs because we no longer need it. We're at the height we need. Don't worry about getting down yet. I got a way for that. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we're going to scrap this stairs. We don't need it. And as far as this structure, since these poles are in our way, we're actually going to scrap this too. Don't worry, you're not going to fall to your death. There's something under you, remember? We stacked everything up. You're going to fall on the roof of that, which is actually touching the floor that we're standing on. So go ahead and just scrap this. See? We're on the roof still. Alright, so this is where we're going to be building our structure at. First, we have to make this area a little bit more stable for us to work in, because as it is right now, we could probably fall right up. So, what we're going to do now is, since this is a roof we're standing on, we're going to go to roofs. And let's look for a, there we go, flat piece of roof. Now I'm going to make the pattern around what I'm standing on different so that I can easily tell it from the others. So pretty much every time I place something down, I'm going to be turning it a certain way. If that makes sense to any of you guys. Alright, so here we are. I have 9 right here. 9 squares total. The center one is the real one. It says floor and roof. If you see the text right there. However, the other ones just say shack roof. Sorry, couldn't talk. Shack roof. This is enough space for me to maneuver around. However, if you guys want to build more spaces, go ahead. But this is enough for me. Alright. Alright, now we're going to start building our defense turret. This is officially, like, this is already a stage 2 pretty much. As soon as we started building this structure upward, we started stage 2. But now we're going to actually start doing the offensive part of this stage 2. Alright, so first we're going to start with our defenses. We're going to go with the heavy laser turret over the heavy machine gun. So let's go in here and I'll show you what I mean. Also, there are some pros and cons to both, so you might actually prefer the heavy machine guns over the laser turrets. But then again, you might prefer the lasers over the other ones. Now, as everybody knows, the further to the right you go in this menu, the stronger things are. So the missile turrets being the strongest defense turrets you can make, and the basic machine gun being the weakest. However, we're not going to be using machine guns in this little video. If you want to use those, that's completely up to you. Go ahead. That's completely up to you. Do it if you feel like it. I personally am not using it, only for the fact that, as you can see, I don't have the rank in this save to do it yet. And even if I had the rank, I still wouldn't use it. See, machine guns, or missile turrets, I guess you could say, my bad. Missile turrets are not good to use at all, in my personal opinion. Everybody can do it if they want to. It's their personal pick. To me, I want something that's settler friendly, so this is a no-go for me. Now, the missiles won't purposely target your settlers, but we all know our settlers don't stand still. They run towards danger and they want to protect their land, their area. It doesn't matter what they're fighting. They want to protect their area. Even if I don't even know why. Even if they don't even have a means of even trying to stop what's coming towards their settlement, they will run out there and risk their lives, and sometimes they run right into death, trying to defend their area. Well, these missiles don't care who's in the way. If they see an enemy, they shoot a missile at it. And if a settler happens to be right there, well, then that's just collateral damage. AKA, these are not settler friendly, so we're not going to use missile turrets. However, if you want to do that, go ahead. I know some settlements don't even have humans at them. Some settlements are there just so that you can store stuff, or just so that you can kill stuff, and there's no settlers there to be hurt whatsoever. Those types of places will be okay to use these, but this is supposed to be for a place that actually has people on it, so I'm not using missile turrets, but to each their own. We're going to go using these heavy lasers. As I said earlier though, there are some pros and cons to using these over the machine guns and vice versa. One of the cons is, well, this is a laser turret. It has to have a power source. As you can see, it requires power. You must power it up. As you can see, they would not require any power source whatsoever. They are self-reliant. Pretty good. Now, there is another pro and con to these two as well. As such, right there, let's turn it so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, hopefully you can see it now. You see right there on the side it says MK1. Hopefully you can see it. It says MK1. That means Mark 1. That's the Mark model. That means that out of these turrets that you can make for heavy machine gun turrets, this is the weakest one that I can make. The higher the Mark number, the stronger the turret. So this machine gun turret, whether you're talking about the regular machine gun turret or you're talking about the heavy machine gun turret, they go all the way up to Mark 7. Mark 7 being the strongest. As you can see right now, I am at Mark 1. To change this from Mark 1 to Mark 2, you're going to do pretty much just move back and forth like what I'm doing now, until the number eventually changes. Now this all depends on the area you're in, and for somewhat, it also depends on what settlement you're at. As you can see, it's not changing. The reason for that is, not only is it based on where settlement you're at, it also depends on where you're standing. For almost every settlement in the game, depending on where you're standing, you're going to be able to either build a turn that's high, mark level, or you won't be able to at all. It all depends on where you're standing at the time. So for instance, right now you can see I can't really build anything. If I stand in a certain part of my settlement, however, that number will finally be able to change up. I just have to go there, change it up, place it down, pick it back up, and then move it to where I actually want it. Which is a little bit of a hassle, but that's just how the game goes. Now the reason that works is up for debate, but this is my take on it. And I don't want to spend too much time here because we need to get on. But anyway, it's all based, I think, on the random encounter system for this game. As you guys know, the closer you are to Vault 111, the lower and weaker all the monsters you encounter will be. And the farther south you go, particularly the farther south you go towards this blast area right down here, the stronger the monsters you encounter will be. Or not even monsters, sometimes humans. All the enemies you face will always be stronger. So with that being said, your settlements are the same way. This settlement is pretty close to 111. Not that close, but it's still pretty close, as you can see. As opposed to a settlement that is down here. For instance, let me find one. I think I have one here. Okay, here it goes. Not a settlement I have right now, but this is a settlement area. This place right here will allow you to have up to actually that Mark 7. And depending on where you stand, you won't be able to actually get one at all. It's kind of funny that way, it's surprisingly. Another place that's like that is, oh, perfect area. County Crossing. Depending on where you stand at, you can only get up to Mark 3. But depending on where you're also standing at this place, you'll be able to get all the way up to Mark 7. It all depends on where you're standing at for the most part. It's up to you to figure out where to stand for each settlement. For me, I've tried standing everywhere here. I can't find that one place that lets me change marks for some reason. Now others have been able to find it, I have not, so I'm good. We're gonna go with the lasers. Mostly because, as I said, this is supposed to be Brother Eye. I want to see red lasers pretty much death from the skies. Alright, so we're going to be building 12 of these. Now, this is what I have planned for it. Let me back up a little bit so you guys can see. I don't want to fall off. The whole time you're up here, try to keep your wits about you and try to keep an ideal area of where you're standing so you don't fall off. Alright guys, we're going to stop the video right here because this video is getting way too long. So, thanks for watching part 1. If you actually made it through all the way here, thanks a lot. I appreciate it greatly. And we'll pick up again in part 2, which hopefully will be the last part for this video. And unfortunately, it looks like this might be the trend for the rest of the series that I'm making here. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and we'll pick up again in part 2. This is your boy Darkblade, ex Dark Enforcers Gaming Network, aka Black Hawk, Division Leader for DCUO. Dark Enforcers, Darkness Rises. Holla.
Good afternoon. Today's high is 57 degrees. Tonight, your high cover with a low of 39.